Let's face it, Sheldon J. Plankton might be small in size, but when it comes to breaking the law, he's an absolute giant. While most residents of Bikini Bottom are busy flipping burgers, jellyfishing, or just trying to survive SpongeBob's antics, Plankton has a singular obsession: stealing the Krabby Patty secret formula. But what if the law finally caught up with him? How long would Plankton spend behind bars if he faced real-world consequences for his schemes? Spoiler alert, it's not going to be a short stay. From trespassing to conspiracy to commit world domination, Plankton's criminal record is long enough to rival a seaweed strand. Today, we're diving deep into his many offenses, tallying up the years as we go. Stick around to find out if Plankton's sentence is enough to make even the chum bucket seem cozy.
Crabs will never recognize me wearing these glasses.
If there's one thing Plankton is good at, it's sneaking into places where he doesn't belong. Whether he's crawling through air vents, burrowing into the Krusty Krab's basement, or literally hiding inside a Krabby Patty, trespassing is a daily routine for this pint-sized villain. In the real world, trespassing, unlawfully entering someone else's property, is a misdemeanor or felony, depending on the intent. Given Plankton's schemes often involve theft or sabotage, his trespassing would likely be classified as a more severe offense. In Plankton. Plankton uses a jetpack to infiltrate the Krusty Krab, breaking multiple security barriers. In legal terms, this isn't just trespassing, it's breaking and entering with criminal intent, which can carry penalties of up to 10 years in prison per incident. Let's conservatively estimate Plankton has trespassed at least 10 times throughout the series. That's 100 years added to his sentence.
Well, this stinks. That's right. Run, crabs, for I have found your Achilles heel.
Plankton's obsession with Mr. Krabs goes beyond professional rivalry. It's full-blown harassment. Whether it's spying on Krabs, sending threatening letters, or staging elaborate schemes to humiliate him, Plankton's behavior is relentless. In real-world terms, repeated harassment, especially if it involves threats or stalking, is a crime. Depending on the severity, penalties can range from fines to 5 years in prison per incident.
Hold it right there, Plankton. Crabs! Hey, take that.
In Friend or Foe, Plankton repeatedly sabotages Mr. Krabs' attempts to run a successful business, including setting traps and spying on him. Let's estimate 5 counts of harassment. That's another 25 years added to Plankton's record.
Oh no.
If you thought Plankton's schemes were limited to stealing the formula, think again. Along the way, he's caused significant property damage, from smashing Krabby Patties to destroying expensive equipment in the Krusty Krab. And let's not forget the time he trashed Bikini Bottom during one of his robotic rampages. In the real world, vandalism, the intentional destruction of property, can result in fines or up to 5 years in prison per offense, depending on the value of the damage.
Hey, Mr. Krabs, just doing a little scrubbing.
Hello, SpongeBob. It is me, Mr. Krabs, in the flesh.
In Imitation Krabs, Plankton builds a robot to infiltrate the Krusty Krab, but the machine ends up destroying the restaurant instead. The damages, likely thousands of dollars. Assuming 5 significant acts of vandalism, that's another 25 years behind bars. Speaking of sneaking into places where you don't belong, why not sneak into our subscriber list? Hit that like button and smash subscribe. It's a lot more legal than anything Plankton's been up to lately. Trust us, no jetpacks required.
Help me get the secret formula and you can have as much root beer as you can drink.
Plankton isn't just about stealing. He's also tried to bribe his way to success. On multiple occasions, he's offered money, fake deals, or even friendship to get SpongeBob or others to betray Mr. Krabs. While his bribes never work, the intent alone is enough to land him in trouble. In legal terms, bribery, offering something of value to influence someone's actions, is a serious crime, punishable by up to 10 years in prison. In The Algae's Always Greener, Plankton tries to manipulate SpongeBob with promises of power and prestige if he hands over the secret formula. If Plankton has attempted bribery at least 3 times, that's another 30 years. At first glance, trespassing, harassment, vandalism, and bribery might seem like minor offenses. But when you commit them dozens of times, they quickly add up. So far, Plankton has racked up 180 years in prison. and we're only just getting started. As his crimes grow bigger, so does his sentence. Plankton's ultimate goal in life is simple: steal the Krabby Patty's secret formula. He's tried every trick in the book, whether it's sneaking in as a tiny intruder, deploying massive robots, or using high-tech gadgets. Unfortunately for him, but fortunately for Bikini Bottom, he fails every time. In the real world, stealing trade secrets is no laughing matter. Corporate espionage, the theft of proprietary information for competitive advantage, is a serious crime, punishable under laws like the Economic Espionage Act of 1996. Penalties include up to 15 years in prison per incident and hefty fines.
Plankton!
Attaboy, SpongeBob!
In Plankton, Plankton infiltrates the Krusty Krab using a jetpack and nearly escapes with the formula before SpongeBob stops him. Assuming Plankton attempts to steal the formula at least 20 times across the series, that's 300 years in prison, just for corporate espionage. Plankton's schemes often involve disguising himself as other characters. Whether he's impersonating SpongeBob, Mr. Krabs, or even a dollar bill, Plankton is no stranger to identity fraud. His goal? To manipulate others and gain access to the Krabby Patty formula. In legal terms, identity fraud, using someone else's identity to commit a crime, carries penalties of up to 10 years in prison per offense.
Nothing stands between me and that secret formula now. Ha ha ha.
In Imitation Crabs, Plankton builds a robotic Mr. Krabs to trick SpongeBob into handing over the formula. In Plankton Gets the Boot, he disguises himself as SpongeBob's wife during a scheme. Let's estimate 10 cases of identity fraud. That's another 100 years on Plankton's record. Plankton's lab at the Chum Bucket is a treasure trove of illegal gadgets. From mind control helmets to holograms, his inventions consistently violate privacy, manipulate others, and wreak havoc in Bikini Bottom. Under real-world laws, using such devices would violate electronic surveillance laws and could be classified as unauthorized use of technology. Penalties include 10 years per device. In the SpongeBob movie, Plankton enslaves Bikini Bottom's residents with mind control bucket helmets. In Plankton's army, he uses advanced surveillance to gather information about Mr. Krabs. Assuming Plankton has deployed at least 5 major devices, that's 50 years added to his sentence. At this point, Plankton's schemes aren't just ambitious, they're wildly illegal. From corporate espionage to advanced technological crimes, Plankton's efforts to secure the Krabby Patty formula have racked up centuries of prison time, and we're not even halfway through his list of offenses.
Got it!
Plankton's love for robots often crosses the line into outright destruction. Whether he's sending a robotic SpongeBob to terrorize Bikini Bottom or unleashing a giant mech suit to battle Mr. Krabs, Plankton's robotic creations are rarely subtle. In legal terms, creating destructive robots would violate laws surrounding the manufacture of weapons and property damage. Each act of robotic destruction could carry a penalty of 20 years per incident.
Karen, I want you to meet my new computer wife. Karen 2.
In Karen 2.0, Plankton creates a robot to replace Karen, resulting in chaos. In Imitation Crabs, his robotic crabs causes significant property damage. Let's assign 5 major robot-related incidents, adding another 100 years to Plankton's record. Plankton is infamous for spying on the Krusty Krab, often using cameras, drones, and even satellites. This isn't just sneaky, it's illegal. In real-world terms, unauthorized surveillance violates privacy laws and can result in fines or up to 5 years in prison per offense. In Spy Buddies, Plankton uses advanced surveillance equipment to monitor Mr. Krabs, breaching his privacy at every turn. If Plankton has spied on the Krusty Krab at least 10 times, that's another 50 years in prison. Plankton's obsession with the Krabby Patty formula isn't just an unhealthy fixation, it's a legal disaster. His crimes in this chapter alone add up to over 700 years in prison. And the worst part? He still hasn't succeeded. Maybe it's time for Plankton to find a new hobby, or a very good lawyer.
Bring it on, Plankton!
Let's not sugarcoat it. Plankton's schemes often involve more than just stealing the Krabby Patty formula. On multiple occasions, he's built dangerous contraptions designed to harm Mr. Krabs, SpongeBob, or anyone who stands in his way. Whether it's a laser cannon, a robot with destructive capabilities, or a device capable of frying a sponge, Plankton's inventions are a direct threat to the residents of Bikini Bottom. In the real world, attempted murder is one of the most serious crimes, punishable by 15 years to life in prison per incident. And while most of Plankton's plans fail, intent alone is enough to secure a hefty prison sentence. In Plankton's Regular, Plankton tries to trap and eliminate Mr. Krabs with a laser weapon. His motive? Pure vengeance. In FUN, he attempts to destroy SpongeBob outright after being exposed as a fraud. If we assign 5 major attempts to harm or kill, that's 75 years to life for attempted murder. As the owner of the Chum Bucket, Plankton doesn't exactly prioritize environmental safety. His toxic concoctions and reckless experiments frequently spill into Bikini Bottom's waters, causing ecological harm. Let's not forget his infamous attempt to spread radioactive chum to lure customers, a plan that could have poisoned the entire town. Under real-world laws, environmental violations, such as illegal dumping or releasing hazardous chemicals, can result in 10 years in prison and millions in fines per offense. If lives are endangered, penalties increase significantly.
I knew this baby would come.
In Chum Caverns, Plankton contaminates an underwater cavern, and in Plankton's army, his chum nearly causes mass sickness among Bikini Bottom residents. Let's count 5 major instances of environmental damage, adding another 50 years to his sentence. Plankton's schemes often extend beyond the Krabby Patty formula. He's tried to take control of the entire town. In one particularly audacious plot, Plankton uses a mind control device to enslave Bikini Bottom's residents, forcing them to work as his loyal drones. In the real world, such actions could be classified as terrorism or conspiracy, both carrying severe penalties. Conspiring to control or harm a population is punishable by life imprisonment under U.S. federal law.
Who can stop me now?
In the SpongeBob movie, Plankton enslaves the town using mind control bucket helmets. The crime? Mass conspiracy on a catastrophic scale. For this act alone, Plankton earns 1 life sentence. The Chum Bucket isn't just unpopular, it's a breeding ground for shady business practices. Plankton has been caught selling expired chum, marketing unsafe products, and falsely advertising his menu items. These actions would qualify as consumer fraud, a crime punishable by up to 10 years in prison per incident.
You fed us undercooked chum?
On fire! It's all burning! Run!
My rest?
In Chum Fricassee, Plankton falsely advertises his chum as gourmet cuisine, tricking customers into eating his low-quality food. If Plankton has committed 5 acts of consumer fraud, that's another 50 years. Plankton doesn't just rely on physical harm, he's also a master of psychological torment. From scaring SpongeBob into submission to manipulating Patrick into helping him, Plankton has caused emotional distress to some of Bikini Bottom's most vulnerable residents. While emotional abuse and psychological harm are less commonly prosecuted, acts intended to terrorize others could fall under stalking or harassment laws, punishable by 5 years per offense.
You work for me now, SpongeBob. Time to put on the official Chum Bucket helmet.
In Welcome to the Chum Bucket, Plankton terrifies SpongeBob by attempting to steal his brain and forcing him to work under horrible conditions. Let's assign 5 counts of psychological harm, adding another 25 years to Plankton's record. At this point, Plankton's crimes are escalating from petty mischief to outright endangerment of Bikini Bottom's residents and environment. Between his dangerous inventions, mass conspiracy, and fraudulent business practices, Plankton's sentence is quickly piling up, and the worst is yet to come. Plankton's schemes go far beyond small-scale theft. He's built multiple world-ending devices in his quest for power. Whether it's a laser cannon, a reality-altering ray, or a robot army, Plankton's arsenal has the destructive potential to level Bikini Bottom and beyond. His most infamous attempt, the analyzer ray from the SpongeBob SquarePants movie, a device capable of obliterating everything in its path. In the real world, developing or deploying weapons of mass destruction, WMDs, is a grave offense. WMD laws classify such devices as a direct threat to national and global security, punishable by life imprisonment or the death penalty.
Give me the secret formula or I'll destroy the Krusty Krab!
Ah, you and what army, Bug?
What army? What army? Look around you, Crab!
In Plankton's army, Plankton builds a mechanical army to conquer Bikini Bottom. In the SpongeBob movie, he nearly succeeds in obliterating the town with his analyzer ray. If we assign 3 major WMD plots to Plankton, he earns 3 life sentences for endangering global security. If Plankton can't destroy Bikini Bottom, he'll settle for enslaving it. In the SpongeBob movie, Plankton deploys his infamous mind control bucket helmets, forcing the entire town to obey his commands. From Mr. Krabs to innocent bystanders, no one is safe from his brainwashing. In real-world terms, this would qualify as crimes against humanity, including mass enslavement and psychological abuse. Such crimes fall under international law, carrying penalties of life imprisonment or, in extreme cases, the death penalty. Plankton's bucket helmet scheme enslaves Bikini Bottom's entire population, stripping them of free will and turning them into his personal workforce. For this large-scale act, Plankton earns 1 life sentence under international law. Plankton's invasions of Bikini Bottom often resemble full-scale war. From his robotic assaults to his attempts to overthrow local governance, Plankton operates like a military dictator. His aggressive actions, including targeting civilians and destroying infrastructure, could be classified as war crimes under the Geneva Conventions. War crimes include deliberate attacks on civilians, use of excessive force in combat, destruction of property without military necessity. In Imitation Crabs, Plankton deploys a destructive robot to infiltrate and sabotage the Krusty Krab. In Karen 2.0, his robotic creations terrorize innocent residents. Let's assign 3 major war crimes to Plankton's record, adding 3 life sentences. Plankton's ambition isn't limited to the present. He's also dabbled in time travel. In It's About Time, Plankton attempts to alter history to gain control of the Krabby Patty formula. His reckless tampering with the space-time continuum creates catastrophic alternate realities, including dystopian futures. While time travel isn't real yet, the hypothetical consequences are clear. Plankton's manipulation of historical events could result in massive loss of life or destruction, akin to genocide or terrorism, both punishable by life imprisonment. In It's About Time, Plankton's time machine disrupts the timeline, nearly erasing Bikini Bottom from existence. Let's assign 2 life sentences to Plankton's time travel-related crimes. Plankton's ultimate goal? Absolute control. He doesn't just want the Krabby Patty formula. He wants to rule the world. His schemes often involve enslaving populations, overthrowing governments, or building machines to impose his will on a planetary scale. In the real world, such actions would fall under terrorism or attempted global domination, carrying penalties of life imprisonment under anti-terrorism laws. In the SpongeBob movie, Plankton's actions threaten not just Bikini Bottom, but the broader underwater world. His ambition clearly surpasses local conquest. For his global-scale plots, Plankton earns 1 additional life sentence. By this point, it's clear that Plankton isn't just a petty thief. He's an international criminal with a penchant for destruction. Between his doomsday devices, enslavement schemes, and war crimes, Plankton's actions have escalated from local nuisance to full-blown supervillain. If Bikini Bottom had a legal system, he'd be their #1 offender, and he wouldn't be seeing the light of day anytime soon. Let's take a deep breath and do the math. How long would Sheldon J. Plankton spend behind bars if justice finally caught up with him? Here's the breakdown. Petty crimes, trespassing. 10 counts equals 100 years. Harassment, 5 counts equals 25 years. Vandalism, 5 counts equals 25 years. Attempted bribery, 3 counts equals 30 years. Subtotal, 180 years. Grand theft, Krabby Patty, corporate espionage, 20 counts equals 300 years. Identity fraud, 10 counts equals 100 years. Illegal technology use, 5 counts equals 50 years. Robotic mayhem, 5 counts equals 100 years. Illegal surveillance, 10 counts equals 50 years. Subtotal, 700 years. Crimes against Bikini Bottom. Attempted murder, 5 counts equals 75 years to life. Environmental damage, 5 counts equals 50 years. Mass conspiracy, 1 count equals 1 life sentence. Consumer fraud, 5 counts equals 50 years. Psychological harm, 5 counts equals 25 years. Subtotal, 200 years plus 1 life sentence. Ultimate crimes, doomsday devices, 3 counts equals 3 life sentences. Enslavement of Bikini Bottom, 1 count equals 1 life sentence. War crimes, 3 counts equals 3 life sentences. Time travel manipulation, 2 counts equals 2 life sentences. Global domination attempts, 1 count equals 1 life sentence. Subtotal, 10 life sentences. The final sentence prison time, 1,080 years. Life sentences, 11. Yes, you read that right. Plankton wouldn't just be rotting in jail. He'd essentially be a permanent resident. Even if he somehow managed to live 1,000 lifetimes, he'd still owe time. If Bikini Bottom had a justice system, it's safe to say the Chum Bucket would become a very lonely place. So, what's the takeaway here? Well, Plankton might be small, but his rap sheet is massive. From petty crimes like trespassing to world-ending plots involving doomsday devices, Plankton has proven himself to be one of the most prolific and persistent cartoon criminals in history. And the worst part? He still hasn't gotten the Krabby Patty formula. But maybe that's the real tragedy of Plankton's story. Despite all his crimes, all his schemes, and all his over-the-top technology, he's still stuck running the least popular restaurant in Bikini Bottom. Perhaps the real punishment isn't the years he'd spend in jail. It's the endless parade of unsatisfied customers at the Chum Bucket. And that's the end of Plankton's criminal career, or at least our analysis of it. But what do you think? Did we miss any of Plankton's most ridiculous crimes? Or do you think the Krabby Patty formula might actually be worth all this trouble? Head to the comments section and let us know. And while you're there, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe. Who knows? Maybe next time we'll figure out how long SpongeBob would last in jail for his questionable driving skills. Until then, stay out of trouble and keep your hands off the secret formula.